Welcome back, everyone. We're shifting to North America, but before we get to that, just remember to go get your street-style skins now. They are in-game. You've got Skye, Maeve, Ashe, and Ying. It's a buy three, get one, and all of the skins are phenomenal, and so you definitely want to get your hands on those. But hey, my name is Gormizer, and now we're shifting over into North America. Very similar standings as we had to Europe, where 3 and 4 going against each other, 1 and 2 going up against each other today. And admittedly, what we've been able to kind of look at is the growth of these teams as time has gone on. North America has been, I want to say, maybe plagued with the fact that, I mean, it's just been almost constant roster turmoil, especially between these bottom two teams. The top two have only swapped, but BOORK, again, I think we said this last week, but it's even more worth mentioning, they don't have a single member of the original roster on the team anymore.
It's too bad we didn't have Kresnik on the desk for this one, you know?
He was actually excited to be casting. He's like, now I have to cast my own team.
Yeah, he gets to cast his old squad. For those of you that don't know, Kresnik, I think it was one or
like
2 weeks maybe?
Yeah.
Just a short little stint there with BOORK. A little bit shorter even than Bitey was on this squad before he kind of moved over to coach Space Station Gaming, one of the more successful Premier League teams right now. But it is cool to kind of see BOORK, even though they're a one-win team, they did, in map differential at least, move themselves up from 4th place to 3rd.
And just being able to find that. And that was actually a pretty interesting win they got last week, because it was not one that anyone truly expected. But Zenith, I think, is the one to kind of zone in on right now, just because a lot of their team, there's been a couple of roster changes overall. Specifically, actually, Toa has been picked up from BOORK onto this team. But also Ozone was someone who has been in the scene for a long time and kind of, again, refreshed his competitive feelings, I guess, to come back in for this team. And so far has picked it up pretty well, has a 1.0 KDA as of right now. But, I mean, overall, it's been a pretty seamless and solid fit.
Yeah, he's just been up and down, just dealing with this little thing called life. I mean, job opportunities, promotions, quitting, joining new teams, coaching some guys, this and that. Just kind of been all over the place, and it has seemed to have found a new home or a new rhythm for himself to be able to play in the minor league here. He's always done fairly well, I think, for himself. I think he's a great player. I think he's got a great attitude and definitely a grinder and a guy that's willing to make adjustments to not only the way he plays, but helping people understand the way that he plays and having them adjust around him a little bit. I think ever since he's come into the scene, he's at times looked disconnected from his teams, and I think it's been cool to see him grow and figure out, like, how do I help a team like come together and start to play as a team? Everybody's on the same page, looking to do the same things, approaching the game in the same way, and learning what it really takes to be a successful competitive Paladins team.
And it's actually one of those things specifically for Ozone. I mean, you run back a year and a half, and he's on one of the top teams in North American PGS. Like, he has been up at the top. He has been that guy who will grind and, like you said, kind of help bring the team and elevate it up. So I'm interested to see what comes of Zenith as the weeks continue going on. But on the other side, we've got BOORK, and specifically, again, a bunch of new members as the weeks have gone on. But one of the guys they picked up, and I've actually gotten to talk to Kresnik about this, but between Frog and Priz is the one that kind of has stood out to me. Frog has like a self-proclaimed EV1 trick on Twitter, as he keeps calling himself. But Priz last week, I feel like I only saw him play Leon for the most part.
Yeah, so they have an EV and a Leon one.
It was so well done that it's almost one of those moments where it's just like, I mean, if you're getting it every game, that's all you need.
And that was the problem. That's why I think BOORK were allowed to compete in the way that they were and get going in that set. I think that's a big thing to take away. To be honest, though, Zenith are going to be looking to get this Leon. I think Ozone, you saw some of the highlights there. It's like we talked about with Eevee in the set prior, on Serpent Beach with Ninu and Simsilo in the game. It's like, it's a great pick on the map. It's a great pick for X hit scan player, a great pick for Y hit scan player. You're going to be seeing a lot of Leon fought over very early in these drafts.
I think both of these teams actually have a very interesting dynamic where BOORK definitely feels like they win kind of in the front line, and then Priz and Frog just get to do whatever they want because their front line and support is just so strong between Vayne, Aspect, and Longshot. Whereas for Zenith, you can actually maybe bounce a little more between, like, okay, the front line gets a little bit done, Mage Monkey will get a little bit of his own, but it's also Ozone kind of putting in the work.
Absolutely. Stonekeep, so that's going to be the first map here. Warder's Gate, Frog Isle, Bright Marsh, and then one other that I didn't catch are going to be banned out. Fish Market. The last one of the four. Atlas takes a seat first here in the draft, followed by Makoa, and then you're looking for the Torvald and a +1 ban. This could end up being Leon, depending on who's first pick, who's second pick on the day. If it ends up being that valuable, and the old minor league Maeve. I think that's going to be a good talking point for tomorrow's Esports Weekly.
I've seen Maeve on Serpent, seen it do well. Seen it on Frozen Guard by Zenith even, and seen it do really well. Not as often picked up on Stonekeep, at least not in the current meta as of right now, but I mean, she's been on the rise. Does that feel kind of like a, hey, Ozone's been playing this, get rid of it?
Could be, potentially. I think banning it is a new thing. It's already kind of starting to come into the conversation as like a couple dudes like to pick it on those niche maps. You have it, your Doodle likes to play this. All Business have played it for a while, though, to be honest. So Europe definitely always sort of enjoying their Maeve. North America, it's a little bit new, I think, to see at times. Very, very seldom seen in the Premier League. But that could be something that changes. This is a character that's never been entirely in the meta, too. Yeah. So it's a character that might need a buff. So I would say she got the closest she got was when she had all that damage reduction and was being played a decent amount. Tough to kill, stuff like that.
Her and Buck were up there all the time.
Yeah, man.
Because you just couldn't kill them off. Either way, Khan, Imani, Genos going overall 5th, which is something that we don't get to see too often. But BOORK favoring the Imani over a Leon, over anything else that has been kind of highly contended overall. Is that maybe a little telling?
It might be. It might be something for Priz. Like we've been talking a lot about Leon Cassie as like, and Shaolin was that sort of like plan C for those guys. A lot of that was the champion pool of most of these guys. They weren't really banned away too much, and it was an easy thing. Like back in the day when you only had like 2 supports to go for, it was like Maltamba and Genos or Maltamba and Saris or whatever it was at the time. Attacking a support was banning one and picking the other because there was only ever determined to be like 3 viable of the class. So that sort of applied to Leon and Cassie, but Imani has come in and sort of filled that role where she is that power backliner. Not very mobile, but very, very good at just sitting in the backline and auto-attacking if you let her.
Well, they close it out. Inara, Bomb King, Luminary, Genos on top of all that. BOORK have a very aggressive lineup here. Zenith going, I want to say, relatively Stonekeep standard. Ashe, Barrack, Leon, Maldamba, Drogos. It's going to be the battle of the blasters. Who can come out on top? Or is Imani going to maybe steal the show with that dragon? The only way to find out is to jump to game 1. The only way to get there is to go down to the casters.
That's the only way to do it, and here we are. And we get a little treat. We have Kresnik casting his old team's games. Yes. I expect you to be ruthless.
I mean, I have played with like one of these players. Right, I mean, the whole team has had to shift, for different reasons. But I mean, one thing that's changed about them a lot is the drafting, right? When Bitey was on the team, I mean, I can speak from experience. The drafting style was pretty Bitey centric. A lot of Vivian decisions by Bitey, for Bitey.
Sure. So they've been able to jump in and maybe diversify things a little bit. They've definitely looked pretty decent as of late, snagging themselves a win last week. Looking to do the same here this week. They've definitely got a hill to climb here, though. Zenith definitely not a team that you can just look and hope to pass by. 2, I would say, strong lineups. The one on the left side here, you got the Imani in there, and then pretty traditionally strong on the opposite side. But I know that you were really excited. You saw Genos, Imani, Khan as the top 3, and you're like, that is a very strong draft, to say the least.
Yeah, but it has to end the map fast, I think. If they focus the Inara down, they have used that Genos healing, that was it. Insane salvo.
Very nice salvo.
Yeah, Toa using the Worm Jets playing outside here, kind of abusing the fact that they have Imani Bomb King. If Priz isn't able to hit Toa out of the sky, they're really not going to be able to stop him from just free-firing these rockets from across the map.
And they have so many low targets at the moment. They're not going to get hyper-aggressive. Mage Monkey's going to hang out down low. 1 for 1 so far. Long Shot, though, makes it 2 now with the Khan and BOORK. Although they got poked out pretty early on here, they find the answer back aggression. And they are in a pretty good spot here to potentially get on the point.
Here's the misstep, I think, from Zenith, right? They had a bunch of people low inside. That was crazy. Toa was putting on a lot of pressure, and instead of saying, like, they're low, they have Genos, maybe we'll just keep poking the doors while we cap. After all that, they have 12%.
Yep.
That's it. Like, they didn't really get that capture pressure while the enemy team was all low.
They had the zone, but didn't quite get themselves on the point here. But BOORK, kind of on the same sort of vein. They win the team fight, but Nini was able to kind of hang out on the point there, and that was just enough to keep BOORK from farming the percentage points on the opposite side, though. First round of ultimates, we're starting to get charged up here. What do you like about what you've seen from either team here? I know that the start from Zenith was pretty good. Lots of good zoning there from the Drogos, but BOORK able to answer back.
I mean, I like the pressure from BOORK. I mean, they understand that their draft can't really, other than maybe the Khan living through a little bit of poke, they have to end the fight fast. I mean, they have an Inara and a Genos. She has it's kind of like Terminus, where his Siphon is like a time limit. They kind of have a time limit on how long the Inara can keep herself alive. So having long shot shove straight through that keep, going for those picks on the contesters, that's kind of their way of saying, let's go, guys, come on, we got to do something now.
And they did. They did in a big way. Priz as well, a big triple kill on the Imani to answer back with long shots, double kill. So they got the initial... Well, they got the initial team fight, I guess you could say, but the percentage not really climbing super heavily in one favor. BOORK coming out of the pause here. They're the ones who are on the point here. 66, 72% in climbing, but an early loss of long shot. Zenith maybe have a bit of an opening where they could push in and find some aggression here.
Yeah, especially since the Genos was the one capturing the point, so they had to get off a little bit earlier instead of being able to contest that barrack. Now, all three stacking on top of Mage Monkey. Lifesteal's not going to get you through all that, buddy, as they managed to burst straight through. Frog going to fight Upper Toa, using the trees as cover, but Frog still has a really advantageous position here, I think. Just going to see how quickly they can rotate to contest the point.
And that's always a fun matchup to watch. I mean, traditionally not really in favor of the Bomb King because of the arcing shots, but every once in a while you'll see a Bomb King that's just not going to miss on the Drogos. Oh, and the Dragon, so much value, even only one kill, but getting so much presence, pushing the rest of Zenith back. And BOORK, they only invest the Dragon. The King Bomb still charging up. One ultimate's good. Point capture number one there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at the setup here. I'm liking how they're starting to do this. I think Priz on the ground is pretty good, splitting ice, can catch both people, instantly catching Ozone with the Frost Bomb. That's great. Also, Frog being up top, Royal Subjects, I'm assuming, I believe that's what he's on, he can actually det around the corner here.
Yeah.
And doesn't need it to hit that Ashe while she's off the map, but he can det around the corner to catch the tank standing on that kind of traditional railing spot, which can, contest the point from upper and hide from up top.
And they found 4 kills sort of as a result, hanging out up top here. They have so much good presence here in the high ground. They have a couple wrapping around here to the left. You have Khan and Frog holding up the high ground here on the right side. Some answer's going to come out, though. That's a Dread Serpent. Doesn't necessarily find the utility maybe he was hoping for. But if nothing else, BOORK is forced back a little bit. Because for a moment there, unfortunately, I think for BOORK, the payload was a little far back because Priz found a couple, and the Khan as well added one, but there wasn't really the payload there to get it pushed through. So they buy themselves some time on the side of Zenith. Now the question is, what ultimates do you invest to try to stop this from going through?
Yeah, I don't think it was a misstep as much to use the ults that early. I think the misstep was positioning afterwards, because you're like, they know they have to wait that long. You know you have to put yourself in places where if you get ulted, if they spend that Dread Serpent on you, or if they assert dominance on you, you have to be able to kite out of the way.
Wait, it does go through. I guess they had Mage Monkey cleaned up, and Nini on the barrack wasn't right. He wasn't in position to go through, so that's really good there from BOORK. They only needed one pick onto Mage Monkey, and the rest of the team as well was spawning out. So BOORK off to a quick 2-0 start here, and Priz has looked really good on this Imani.
Yeah, I mean, watching this, like, I think we could take some notes from my team's set where we played against Imani Genos quite a few times, a few more times than I would say I'm comfortable with. The 700 damage per shot on Imani plus a splitting ice, that is insane damage. With the splitting ice, that's like a Shaolin firing at Cassie speed. It's brutal.
That is brutal, and they've made great use of it so far. Looking at the slash lines, 5-1, 9-1, 2-1, 1-1, 10 though for the Inara, 2-1, 13. BOORK, each of the members only dying once, 3, 4, 5, and then some. Here's a Dragon Punch. Who's he going to be looking for? He gets around to the back line, finds Vayne in this one. Frog is able to answer back, though. Mage Monkey staying aggressive as he has been for the rest of this game, getting up into the face of BOORK, and they're just forced back a little bit up until this point. But here comes the Dragon right through the keep. Mage Monkey's going to start getting melted away. The immunity from the shoulder bash is going to get him out and alive, but they're taking a little bit longer than maybe they would hope to kill this Dragon off. Only a few ticks of health left, but they got some good value out of it.
Yeah, but the thing is, during that whole fight where they were in their face and everyone was backed out into the banana, they got about 11% of cap time.
Yeah,
that whole time.
That's true.
You know, and the Dragon, like, by the time Nini went to walk onto it, that's when the Dragon was coming in, so he couldn't even really stay there. All of Zenith kind of forced out. Now BOORK asserting their high ground control here. Dread Serpent coming in on the point, maybe trying to catch the point tank out. Looks like he might have been able to get away. Mage Monkey getting a little bit too aggressive up top. Might have been a really good bait for Ozone. Manages to get 2 Longshot and Frog down. There is jumping inaccuracy for Leon, but it does not really matter if you hit the Valor. Oh, 50% back.
That is a third kill in this fight for Ozone. You can't give this guy Leon and feel too comfortable about it. He finds 3, gets the cooldown half reset. That's a really long range overpower there, Toa.
Would you say that was a long shot?
That was a long shot there from Longshot, even quicker on the puns than I am, and props to you for that. That's not an easy thing to do. That's a good King Bomb for a little bit of stun. The damage comes out from Frog as well. The thing to look at here, 89% though for Zenith. BOORK need to win. That is a lot due to the fast cap mechanic on their side, but BOORK find a few kills. Now they're back in the driver's seat.
Let's see how they can get this zone going here. They want to dismount the tanks. They want to maybe have someone on the plat area outside of fire to block the Ash's bash. Looks like the Ash chooses to go through Banana instead, so they're going to need to move someone maybe to the stairs to block it. Dragon Punch comes in to take down Vayne. Barrack actually managed to get through Church to the point. I think they were a little too distracted, and they don't have the time to rotate. That pick on Vayne.
That's all they needed, the point tank pick on Vayne. I'm not sure Vayne maybe would have had enough time to get back anyway, but that's some good utility out of the Dragon Punch there. Zenith find themselves point number 1 in this set. They get to try their hand at some offense now. BOORK didn't really invest too much into that point fight. The King Bomb came out very early on into the round, as well as the overpower from Longshot. Now they have the Dragon, Seismic Crash through time and space as well. Would you have maybe preferred to see them use some of those ultimates towards the end of that team fight?
I think once the Dragon Punch was coming in, other than maybe using through time and space on the Inara, because you're assuming it's going to come in, right? Like a kind of a counterplay like that. I mean, Seismic Crash wouldn't have saved Vayne.
That's very true.
From the Drogos coming in.
That's very true.
And that's the second Dragon, actually, that he charged. Really good pressure from Toa out here. This positioning, this is one of the benefits of Worm Jets, right? You're going to play in angles that have never been played in before, ever, by anybody. I mean, even back in the dark days where we had, like, DPS Ying and Buck was building walls, no one was playing out there.
Right, and he made good use of it there. Just that one archway, he's able to mitigate a lot of the damage that would have been coming in onto himself. And doesn't really catch any of it. A few poke shots here and there. BOORK now, though, they have 1 minute and 10 seconds left to defend. This payload is getting very close to going through. One clean team fight win for Zenith. Could see this one going in, but BOORK have set up a pretty good defense here at the moment. What is sort of the answer? We talked about the Drogos flank. That's a good Dread Serpent, sets Frog running, but there's no backup damage, at least at the moment. Some ultimates starting to fly back and forth either way, but you got to watch out for Toa. He's basically free-firing up top here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Toa would be... The flanking from the Drogos is the biggest answer I can think of. That Dread Serpent was a really, really good idea, but the timing wasn't there. 28 health, barely making it out. The timing was not there for that push, I think. We saw Frog was stunned going back. If they maybe had someone pushing bottom right that could see him while he's feared, maybe the Ash coming in at that exact moment, getting some bash damage on Longshot, separating him from Frog. Unfortunately, neither of those things were able to happen, so BOORK managed to hold.
They do manage to hold. 15 seconds left here. Zenith probably have one more good go at it if they're able to sweep in and get a touch. Of course, the Drogos hovering around. If all else fails, he'll be able to swoop in and get a touch on the point. Hopefully it does not come down to that. You see Ninny on the barrack approaching the payload. He'll be the one to start to contest here. This is where his final stand will come here. Dragon Punch and Assert Dominance ready for Zenith, but they would like to get this through without having to use that BOORK as well. They have the obvious ultimate advantage. Getting rid of Mage Monkey, though, very early on in this fight. That's huge for BOORK. If Ninny goes down as well, this push very well could be over, and it is. He has to back off, doesn't have the health to contend, and none of the squishies do either. So BOORK, they go up 3-1, and they have 4 ultimates going into this point fight.
Yeah, the 2-1 push is actually really, really safe for the defending team. You know, if you're the one up 2-1, you're like, well, we can use whatever. We're not gonna, you know, we're not in a losing position no matter what happens. But if, you know, Zenith decided to commit something there and then they lost, now they're like, well, now we're going into the game point. Now we have nothing. You know, it's BOORK was in a really, really dominant position.
They're in the driver's seat per se. I mean, you lose, at worst you're tied, you win, you're on set point. Look at Aspect. He did not die that round. 2-1 and 23. We always like to say if you can't kill the healer, you're going to have a hard time winning any of these team fights. And Genos as well, able to just continue having that damage amp up throughout the fight. Mage Monkey having a bit of a tough game here on the front line. A couple bulldozers coming out for Zenith, and we talked about this on the desk. Just having an Amani on the opposite side, that sets up the economy for your team. There's a Dragon Punch. Lots of ultimates starting to fly out in this one. Mage Monkey, Toa, they combine for 1 apiece here. Make that a double now from Toa, and Zenith are in the driver's seat.
That was a really, really good aggressive use of ultimates by Zenith. They knew that their ults coming in from BOORK, but they just say, well, if we use ours first, if we get our kills, this is good. And now Zenith pushes even further, manages to stagger out Priz. That's basically the only one of the main ultimates they had left. They can maybe use Overpower here to get Mage Monkey, but his team's not there to clean up. It's not going to be worth it.
Yeah, the fast cap as well going against them in this case, 93%. That's some good body blocking, keeping Longshot from busting through that door. He ends up trading out his life. It's 1 for 1 though to start off this fight. Overtime meter going down. Longshot's going to be able to get on there, get a touch. The shield going to block off a little bit of that damage right here. But Toa continues his tear on the Dragon right now. The Drogos has just been working so well for him. Nini drops the Dome Shield, maybe just to really secure that point. He'll have some time later in this round to charge that back up. Zenith's been looking pretty good down the stretch.
Yeah, that was a really solid Dome Shield. That Dome Shield from BOORK. I was actually really scared. I was about to talk about, like, Luminary Bomb King's really good. He keeps shooting 1,000 damage, and then the Dome Shield came in, and I'm like, oh, well, thankfully BOORK has a really sick, underrated ult that can just guarantee that one capture once Longshot got brought down.
He did just that. Team Zenith, I mean, they've kept their foot on the gas in this case, not wasting any time trying to get this payload. To round the first corner here, Mage Monkey going a little bit low. He's able to get himself out and safe. BOORK were able to hold this defense the last time. Remember, no game for them to win here just yet. Potentially tying it up, though, are Zenith. Toa's really just made his living hanging out behind these buildings over here off to the side. Let's get a quick look at the slash lines going into this final point fight. See how everyone's been doing. 10-6 now from the Leon, 8-6. For Toa have been the one who's really been making an impact in this game. And then Priz as well, and then Aspect continuing his streak. So lots of really strong play from both sides. Yeah,
actually, also, Jostles, he didn't have a lot of assists because I think he's mostly tanking people up, but he also has died very, very little. That last fight, he actually got 6 assists, I think, in that one mid-fight. He basically assisted every single kill in that massive steamrolling team wipe.
That's
moving forward from Zenith.
That's really big. He's looking good for his team. Couple kills going back and forth. Checkerboarded on the kill feed right now. Frog's the guy on BOORK who's been able to find them. On the opposite side, though, who would have guessed it? It's the Drogos. It's Toa. He's able to hold this angle so well that forces him into such an uncomfortable position. That's a good Dread Serpent, though, but is there follow-up damage onto the Bomb King? There's not. Just gets feared into that corner instead of back out into their sight lines. Mage Monkey shoulder bashes away here, and the fight seems to have stabilized at the moment.
Yeah, and actually, that was a really heads-up play, I think, from Frog, dropping down into that corner. Like, sometimes you just know, like, you see movement, you hear abilities start getting used, because that shoulder bash is not quiet. You hear that shoulder bash coming, you're like, something's going down, maybe I'll drop, I'm Bomb King, I can get back up. Frog here now pushing back that Ash, no shoulder bash to be heard. Salvo coming in, almost takes him down. Toy, barely misses with that angle. Might try to go around and catch Frog in the retreat. He does, but misses the rockets in front. Hits a fantastic meter shot on Toa. I keep almost saying Alex every time I see his name.
Call him Alex. You had to play with him or against him at least a handful of times. That's how you know him. BOORK find themselves another successful defense, though. Is there anything that you kind of key in on? Not necessarily that's been going wrong for Zenith, but maybe holding them back on these offensive pushes?
I think BOORK are just adapting around their ults well. I think BOORK is just holding well. It's hard. This is not the easiest point in the world to push, especially not into the damage of an Imani Genos.
Right. You know, that's fair. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, Imani Genos and like Genos BK, you know, all that damage. If she hits a shot, every shot each DPS hit is basically 1,000 damage.
Right.
Bomb King is doing 1K, Imani's doing 750 plus the splitting ice.
That's a casually high amount of damage in that case. They're looking really good on their side. You got 4 resiliences now for Zenith, as well as some bulldozers to try to get rid of that dragon. A couple resills on the side of BOORK as well. Spend them if you got them going into this final team fight. Zenith still need to capture at least 2 more. Hopefully capture and push 1 if you're in this case. The aggressive dragon punches have been coming out early here. He's going to look for Vayne. He's going to find Vayne, but he trades out his life in exchange. The King Bomb rolling through as well in this case. Doesn't find his target. Maybe calls out of it a little bit early unless the cooldown timed out in his favor. But Ozone, he continues to carry this fight here. Zenith, 51% and climbing. And BOORK are on the back foot.
Yeah, it seemed like they wanted to call that off in the middle. I think he might have been able to get away with committing. I mean, they still had the seismic crash, the overpower, but through time and space. But it got called off. I mean, I don't disagree. 4v4, maybe, let's regroup, play safe. It didn't end up paying off.
There's the seismic crash, though. Through time and space, just a little bit wide. Tried to combo that with the seismic crash. Overtime's going to tick away. BOORK are able to stabilize at the moment here. They need to find a way to deal with this dragon. At the moment, he's just making life hell for them, just raining down fire from above. Ozone, Toa, Mage Monkey, each with 1 in this one. It looks like the days are numbered for BOORK here. They're going to lose. I think this is their 3rd point fight in a row that BOORK have gone down on. And Zenith, they've at least got the point fight figured out, but they need to try to find a way to get this one pushed through, and they could win the game on it.
BOORK needs to just figure out what to do about these Dragon Punches. There are options. Like they've had through time and space for 2 different Dragon Punches coming in. That's absolutely something you can use to peel the Drogos off of your Inara. If you're like, our Inara needs to live, he only wants to kill our Inara, ult right on your own teammate. Either you guarantee the trade immediately and you can execute something else, or you just kill him before he even gets the punch off.
And they've shown a willingness to throw the Dragon Punch in despite knowing that he might trade his life out, but knowing that they seemingly have enough pressure on the opposite end. Even if the Drogos goes down, they're going to have enough utility and enough presence left on their team to carry the rest of the fight. And it's worked out for them, at least up to this point so far. This has sort of been where the payload has stalled out over the past few rounds for them. But I think Zenith, I mean, even if this one doesn't go through, they're feeling comfortable with where their point fight has been these last few rounds. The Dragon Punch is ready again. Toa's been doing a very good job of charging those up here. But they'll like to get this one pushed through and hopefully get things done with right now.
Well, another Dread Serpent coming in from Jostles, trying to get the cleanup. Toa comes in at the same time, gets slowed on the way in. Mage Monkey tries to come in with the Assert Dominance, gets overpowered out of a Void Grip mid-Assert Dominance cast.
Oh no!
Okay, he didn't use it. He didn't use it. We're safe. Did not use it.
That was so close to going down, though. Nearly saved his life through time and space. He's going to get out of that one. Vayne, seemingly the last line of defense. Frog is back up right now. He can find some damage. He's not going to do very well at contesting, but Ozone keeping himself safe. He's about half health. Doesn't necessarily need so much healing when he's back and fighting from where he is. That's a King Bomb. Gonna drop 1, but Ozone finds himself 2 now. Can he make it 3? He does. Nearly gets 4 with the Enlightenment, but he comes alive at the right time. And Zenith find a way to get that one pushed in.
Yeah, that was I thought it was really solid, aggression from Zenith by the end. That Dread Serpent didn't look like they were going to capitalize on right away, but they were so distracted by shooting Toa, who had committed, that they just like, oh, the rest of the team, oh god, they're all here.
That's right, and they turned around. Worked out in their favor. This time, they find themselves a clean 4-3 win over BOORK in game number 1. Send it back to the desk.
Well, it looks really solid at the beginning for BOORK, but then it all kind of crumbles down as Zenith come in and kind of take the peak overall in that fight. Priz looked really, really good on the Amani. Frog looked really good on the Bomb King. But I think it was Toa who kind of stole the show away. A lot of the Dragon Punches, especially towards the end, won them fights.
Yeah, it's not something that was directly dealt with, I think, in the best way. They didn't have, obviously, like Priz's Leon would have been a great answer for it, but they just didn't have it this time around. You're right. That was that's an old scoreboard there from Asar's and Klosar and the gang. But there is, I think, moments of greatness there from Toa. There is really, really great moments of greatness from Leon as well. So great stuff all around from both squads.
And being able to kind of highlight in, you saw, again, the 3 that were already mentioned, but Ozone also was able to kind of come in and make a pretty huge shift of things. 168,000 damage there as you look at it, and it comes in. Not to be scoffed at is the 140,000 that Toa put out, the 135 that Priz put out, but it was absolutely on the side of Zenith.
Wow, look at the healing difference.
It just makes such a huge number.
Wow. Not often does Genos
get that high.
Yeah, out-frag a Maldamba by 50k healing. And a little bit of, I think, that is to do with, like, if you build more rejuvenates or you're playing more consciously around that, things like that, or if, for instance, BOORK being ahead at the start of that game before Cauterize comes online, they can kind of get their COTS online first, and that helps them build that little anti-heal lead, so to speak. Little things like that all lead into the race, but solid play from start to finish. And it's a good sign from Zenith to be down early and come back into this, because adjusting as a squad, and look at that little assassination there. Priz trying to get a little bit cheeky. A lot of cheeky ultimates all around the board, but Ozone skirts them all.
And I think, honestly, if Ozone's not there, that Dragon comes down, it might not have that much potential. They might be able to burn through it, but at that angle and with that speed, it probably kills at least one member of Zenith. It makes a big difference. The fact that he lived this long, got a triple kill, executed an Amani right after the ult, like, that is what you want out of your Leon in any kind of scenario. But now, get to go to Serpent Beach. We've seen this map a few times today, and we've seen it kind of shake up the way things have been going. So do you have anything that maybe stands out to you as, like, this is what we're going to see? Is Mave ban going to come through? Is Leon, like, a high priority pick?
There might be an Eevee ban here just to get it away from Frog. I don't know if Zenith is
He'll
quite
retweet his stop banning the Winter Witch tweet again.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe Toa is comfortable enough playing with or against it. The Leon ban is something we talked about going into this set, just because both these teams love to play it. This tells me that Zenith is looking to pick something else, and they don't want BOORK to grab this in their second and third phase of picks.
Well, hey, they let Atlas through for the first time in this set today, and admittedly, Zenith going for that first might open up the amount of time they've maybe spent practicing it and how much they have that on their mind. Khan is pretty much going to be the instant response for that just because, well, it's Khan, and the fact that anyone's kind of supplanted him at the top probably makes him a little sad. But Frog is going to be able to cheer because he gets his EV.
Picking that one out. It's a good pick. Banning away Leon so BOORK don't get it. It has in a way opened up
hurt them.
An EV. You know, having the natural predator, they could have grabbed an. It just comes down to, I think, Frog preferring to have EV more than Zenith want to have the EV. So they both want Leon. Get rid of the Leon because we just don't like the EV quite as much as they do. If they did, they would have let Leon go and maybe been happy to try and run an EV into that, but it's just not a matchup they feel good about. Cassie Barrack will be the choice.
Unwanted stranger.
And I wonder if they'll go for the Amani with already having grabbed the Cassie.
I mean, being able to have that Cassie online, just big game, can ideally burn through Kananara like it's nothing. Genos, once again, and Genos EV, I think, is the combo to look at the most there, because we had actually mentioned earlier in the day how Genos and Nara, usually you want a supplementary, like, third or second support, like a Pip that can keep her healed up to make up for that number. But Eevee's going to do a lot of damage on her own, and now facilitated with a Luminary makes it hurt a lot more.
The Andro definitely feels like, I don't really know, maybe just a comfort pick for, I guess, Ozone, and Toa will likely be on this Cassie. If I had to put my chips somewhere, that's, I think, where I would go. And the support's coming in very, very late in this draft, so not a very support-centric draft. Imani will be the final 10th selection for BOORK. I gotta say, I love Imani and Eevee with the damage amp. As long as Inara plays well around not having a super high throughput healer,
True.
I think this BOORK lineup's looking real good.
And it's on Serpent Beach, which admittedly 2 of those champions on the side of BOORK are really, really good on Serpent Beach. 2 of them are just good on Serpent Beach, and then Genos is just good in general. So you get yourself pretty comfortable. Serpent Beach is going to be an interesting match. We have to see how exactly the Androxus, I think, shakes up more than anything. It's the one that kind of caught our eye and caught us off guard. So can Zenith make it look as good? How's their Atlas going to fare? The only way to find out is to jump down into the map, go to the beach, go ahead and bring your sandals out, but look out for snakes because we're going down to the casters and we're going to start this one off.
Thanks, Gore. I got my swim trunks and my flippy floppies. I am on a boat in Yurakenko's
I tried to wear my Speedo in here, but they stopped me at the door. They have to let the players in. We don't have cards. They just wouldn't let me in. I had to go back to the hotel.
Well, they're trying to avoid everyone having to, like, stare at the ceiling and avoid eye contact with you for the rest of the day. I think that would have just shot productivity.
Now that I've said that, they will all have to do that now for a different reason.
Right. It's the old imagine the crowd is in their underwear sort of vibe. Whether we want to or not, Speedo is on the mind here. Talk to me about the Andro. How do you feel about it? We saw him in the PPL a little bit over the past week or so. What are your thoughts on where he's at right now?
To me, the Andro is like their supplement since Maeve is being banned. And a quick note about Maeve being banned. Toa posted on Twitter or in the main community Discord that, like, I am a Maeve one-trick now. I will play Maeve in ranked. And so far, they've banned Maeve both games.
Yeah, right.
So maybe that's just a target on him for making that post. But Andy, for them, I think they just see him as the best supplement for a vertical flank, right? Eevee's on the other side. Maeve is banned. And then after that, we have verticality, what? Buck, Androxus, Koga, or for his climbing. You know, so I think they just think Andy is the best supplement they have for a role that they think is necessary for Serpent Beach in this map.
Do you think he's in a pretty decent spot at the moment? We've seen some good and some bad coming out of him. Do you think I guess if he's getting picked, that means he has the potential to do pretty well?
Yeah, I think he's in a pretty good spot. It really does depend on the skill of the player, but that's kind of how all the flanks are right now. You know, Maeve, Eevee, Andy are not really pick up and play kind of characters. You need to understand how their cooldowns work. You need to have the right build.
Sure.
And I think once the right players have their hands on him, it looks pretty good. And I think Ozone is looking pretty solid. Even after losing the mid, I think his presence was fairly strong.
I agree with that statement. Actually, a pretty quiet first point capture there from BOORK. They pretty much just stationed the Inara onto the point there, won a couple team fights, or won a couple 1v1s, I should say, and they find themselves point number 1 on this map. Very similar to how Stone Keep started for them. Zenith, though, they answer back with a little bit of pressure. Red and blue all coming up here on the scoreboard. It's a 2-for-2 so far in this little engagement. This is a tough match, or a tough map, I should say, to push on. In that the defending team just can kind of camp out on that high ground up there. I think you drew some parallels to like a Timber Mill. They're able to just free grab the high ground and just kind of raid down on you. But I know that's sort of where the Eevee verticality comes in, maybe contesting a little bit of that.
Yeah, all of them. I mean, BOORK have a fantastic... that was actually really unfortunate.
Nice.
Rewind, I was going to say. BOORK have a fantastic comp for pushing this, right?
Yeah.
The Inara can go up to high ground in that one position. Eevee, Amani can do pretty much anything on the high ground if they know how to utilize their flight.
Right.
And Khan can overpower people from the high ground, and there actually is a way, and it's not great, but there is actually a way for Genos to get on high. If he has jump height 2, you can jump from the platform to the top of the little hut in the middle up to the top right balcony.
Just Genos parkour.
I mean, exactly. You can do it. People run it on this map. I'm not sure if Aspect is, but they have basically a whole team that can take high ground. So the Dragon coming in from Priz doesn't really get too much. Ozone right in his face, barely manages to avoid it with the Frostfire Glide. As they just kind of reset here. Maybe might lose Frog on the side, but it looks like his experience on Eevee is letting him juggle cooldowns enough to make it out.
And that was well played. 4 health on the Andro. Finally, Aspect cleans that one up. That was well played from Priz there. I think he saw Ozone starting to flank him, cancels out of the Dragon, gets himself back into this fight. That's a good Ice Bomb. Toa's going to head back to base here. You have 10 seconds left now on the Cassie, so a momentary 4v5. They're going to make it a 3v5 now as Nini goes back to base. 1 second left. The respawns are going to be able to come in here at the moment. The Ice Storm is ready if they want to use it. Obviously, you'd like to push it in without having to use it, and all they need is a kill onto Ozone here. Mage Monkey gets in just a little bit late, not really in time for the contest. BOORK go up 2-0 again.
Yeah, Big Shield Atlas is actually, Temporal Divide.
Big Shield Atlas is totally, I call it Big Shield.
Big Shield Atlas is really not the best for contesting point, because Deja Vu, at least he has his shield up every once in a while, but when you have that huge cooldown, and the way Atlas works is, here's what's going to happen, right? He just uses shield. He's going to drop on point, he's going to get a focus, he's going to go, oops, rewind out, but now he's going to be on high ground a mile away, and the point's going to get capped.
Exactly how it happens. Nearly, I mean, he was in there, as you said, but unfortunately, in this case, keeping himself alive meant that BOORK pushed it through. But BOORK jumped out to an early 2-0 lead on Stone Keep as well. But that was right around the time when Zenith were able to kind of figure out their own game plan and answer back with some of what BOORK were bringing to the table. So maybe more of the same here. If you were sort of playing as Zenith are right now, what are some things you might change? What are you kind of keying in on that aren't really going in their favor?
I would definitely be more aware of ultimates than they are there.
Right.
I like the idea of trying to engage because they knew they were a little bit light on ults, but I don't think they got enough out of the Exile. Maybe they could have played a little bit further back with it. I mean, BOORK just... Well, look at the ults they just used. Through Time and Space, Ice Storm, Seismic Crash, all used on that upper. They missed the Overpower, but that was specifically because of a knockback, a disengage.
Right.
And now you could just see this Dragon coming in. Probably gonna... It should confirm a kill on Ozone. He dies going for the touch. Dread Serpent coming in, only gonna get the Amani, but Nini can't shoot her. He has to focus on touching the point. And this damage coming in from all angles is probably gonna burn him down. Maybe not, though. Temporal Divide Shield manages to come in, keeping him alive. Atlas pressuring up top, trying to poke out the damage, keeping himself a little safe. Pushes Aspect back, but he can heal through walls. That's really not going to do too much besides making him a little sad. Nini's still keeping up the cap pressure.
He did. He was touching on the point there, kept things from going on to the opposite end. Priz, though, cleans up one. Aspect makes it 2 now for BOORK. Vayne drops a 3rd into this fight. Aspect with a double, Vayne with a double. The healer and the frontliner getting in on the action. They might not have been doing all the damage, but they were the ones confirming the kills in this case. And BOORK make it 3-0. So Zenith, I mean, they eat a lot of those high priority ultimates, as you said. All ultimates seemingly hitting for BOORK in that one. That's the only advantage they needed. But now they need a defense to stop themselves from getting this thing tied up.
Yeah, you know, I gotta say, watching Amani Genos doing so well. Sorry, Amani Eevee Genos doing so well on Serpent Beach. I'm getting some flashbacks. Yeah. this was last week.
Very similar, right?
Very similar. We've definitely learned a lot from that. I'm learning a lot from watching this game too, as these are still very skilled players, you know, executing this comp to a pretty solid degree. I think the Andro is actually looking... Oh yeah, they also went for the combo there too. That's one thing about like high-level play. You can try to use each other's ults to get the most use out of your ultimate, right? Like a 3 Time and Space on its own could be good. A Ice Storm on its own could be good. Put them at the same spot at the same time, that's a guaranteed kill, and they're pretty fast-charging ultimates. Ice Storm at least is.
I mean, it's already back up to 30%, a quarter of the way there for the Through Time and Space. Priz not only finds a kill, nearly makes himself out alive. That would have been really big for them to confirm that kill and get themselves out alive, though. Although there are still a A minute and 15 seconds left in this case. Still plenty of time for both teams to find some presence in this match. Zenith, they need to find a way to stop this one from going through. BOORK, they looked good in both games up to this point, falling just a little bit short there on Stone Keep. They have some ultimate seismic crash. The Dragon is ready as well. You have the Atlas ult as well as the Dread Serpent on the opposite side, so just 2 for 2, potentially getting traded out here. I think it'll come down to just which team is able to find a pick at the crucial moment.
I think BOORK should not be afraid to ult here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're up 3-0, right? They could use all 5. They could lose the next mid and then get it capped, and they're still fine. You know, they have a lot to lose, so I think what they could do now, build up some ultimates. They're getting close to having all 5. They have enough time. Get all 5, get one really good push. If you don't confirm, you have more than enough time to do it all over again.
That's entirely fair. I mean, no way for them to lose here, at least in the next 2 rounds. That's a good route there. He's going to rewind himself, get himself topped off. Mage Monkey playing that second chance, but unfortunately, it's not enough of a chance. He's going to be the one to fall. 5 seconds left. That's going to open the door for Priz to find some damage with this Dragon. Nitty's going to go down as well as Ozone. BOORK are going to have overtime, but the zone is so good. Toa's going to be the next to fall. Overtime going in their favor, and BOORK are going to push it through on the back end of some good team fighting. That's a 4-0, and BOORK looked really, really good in that one.
I mean, that comp is that was just a complete domination comp-wise. I mean, I don't have to say it I can say it as many times as I need to. That's good on that map. Imani, Eevee, it's just crazy, crazy damage, crazy mobility. You have great takes. Like, it's hard to cap on that point.
Yeah.
But with that kind of composition, it's not as hard anymore. You know, there's things you can do. You can make your Eevee go around the outside, land on the upper when they're trying to sit on the stairs. Just deny any position that the defending team would want to have.
Just so many. That's a good way of wording it. I mean, not only are the 3 champions so strong in conjunction with one another, but it opens up so many different opportunities, so many different ways to play in this one. BOORK win map number 2 and tie things up here. Let's send it back to Gore and Nick.
Not only tie it up, but they do it in a pretty convincing fashion. It's like one of those things that it looks like you could bounce back and forth.
Frog's Eevee, baby.
And then, Frog's Eevee.
We take those. Yeah, I think comfort picks definitely showing a little bit there for BOORK. And being able to just control the power pick there is definitely Frog's Eevee. That's far and away. They picked it much, much earlier than I think a lot of other teams would pick Eevee. And they opens up so much space. High ground control is almost everything on Serpent Beach, because if you can do that, then nobody can get the drop on your Imani. Your Imani can, it's like you have to, like we talked about the vertical mobility with Frostfire Glide, it's tough to get up there, but if you can clear the runway for the 747 that is Imani to actually make her way up to the high ground and have something to talk about or have something to do there, then you have a really good opportunity for this character to just great lines of sights and tee off on people.
And one of the things that comes down with it is just the fact that not only long range, but we don't see it often. We were actually just talking about whether or not you can switch to fire stance, but like the burst that comes down with the Frost Bomb and the control that it can bring as well. Although 90% of the time it's just, hey, look, I'm Cassie, by the way. Long range with
Cassie
no damage
plus,
fall off.
Having the Luminary there, a little bit of you could see he had to kind of wiggle his Frostfire Glide back and forth to get up there. Like you said, 90% horizontal mobility, like 10% vertical. Now here comes the Dragon around the corner. When everybody has to stand in one particular location, this Dragon is nutty. Great 2 kills there from Priz, and great control of the map overall for BOORK. Well done.
And opened up that final push, which again, I'm actually going to bank on it going 3-1 until that last moment, and then everything collapsed.
Yeah, and then the Fire Nation attacked.
But we're going to Jaguar Falls. So this is going to be a very interesting one to jump into, because admittedly I'd say comparable to Serpent Beach in terms of the fact that it is very much centralized point fight in a giant square. There's a little bit of high ground, but that's not necessarily where the big fight is here. You're going to be looking on the side rooms, and lo and behold, we're back to the Eevee bands.
Get it out of here. And that's, I gotta say, I don't really have a lot of memorable, like, Jaguar Falls Eevee performances.
No.
Not a lot, even Eevee players don't really run it here. Most of the time, Eevee players are also pretty good at Bomb King, so that is more often than not what gets run here. Maybe Zenith are just thinking they have a read on Frog, and after a performance like that, where he's feeling good, feeling comfortable, they just want to break the rhythm. But I think on paper and even in practice and historically, you look to put your blaster more on the Bomb King if you can on Jaguar Falls. And with a lot of stuff open like the Atlas, like the Bomb King, Genos as well, BOORK have a lot to pick from here in their first 2.
And that's one of those, if you're looking at it, you know, Mako, Torvald are 2 front lines that are almost always banned out, but Eevee and Maeve to me scream, you know what? We don't want to ban, like, we don't want to ban Khan and have you get Atlas and then we're kind of left empty-handed, and we don't want to ban Atlas and have you get Khan, have the same scenario. So instead, we're going to dance around, let one of them through guaranteed for us, and they not only get that, but they get the Imani as well, which Priz has been doing phenomenal on.
Yeah, so that's a good way to go. And even with Leon open now, that's what makes this a little bit scary, is that Priz is getting very comfortable to the point where when he has the choice, he's still going to go for Imani, even with Leon open. And finally, Genos will get grabbed up here later on for Zenith. That is seeming to be the choice support in this particular matchup.
Stranger.
Barrack Genos comes through. Genos goes real well with Barrack and Khan, and that also leaves Zenith the ability to kind of hide their hand as best as possible, make sure you don't know what DPS Narmal Damba, and now they get to pull it out. Their big damage. Leon, Cassie, both still available, as well as pretty much any blaster you might want. Drogo's, Bomb King, either.
Check.
Ooh, Pip, that's definitely a big wild card. Hasn't been quite looked at today. Ban-worthy if you're good enough at it. That's the thing. That's what we saw over in Europe.
Next time you see my banner,
it's up to Zenith to be that good, though, to be those guys. Toa specifically, if he can get into a good spot here with the Luminary mark as well. This is a lot of things that can really snowball to become a big, big problem for you. You don't have a way to deal with it. Bomb King is the final selection. 10th pick Bomb King on Jag Falls, man. What a timeline.
What a world to live in. He is going up against the Genos. I'm actually interested to see the Luminary Pip blasts that are going to be coming through. It's going to be a lot of damage that you're going to have to deal with. Alice, Imani, Anara, Maldamba. Bomb King, though, is a deadly team. But right now it's tied. It's even. Everything's 1-1. So let's go down to the caster, see how they're feeling about this draft.
I think we're feeling pretty good.
How are you feeling about this draft? I mean, I think BK is really, really strong on Jaguar Falls. So having that on top of Imani, who has been shown to be just a really solid DPS and AoE denial, they just have a lot of ways to counter grouping up. And Zenith, as long as they don't stand on top of each other, they could have a chance. I mean, Khan, Genos, Pip, that's really strong as well.
We've talked about the Pip today as being sort of one of those higher tier picks that maybe doesn't come through as often as maybe some teams would like to see, but coming through here with the Genos at his back as well, the opportunity's there to make some game-changing team fights. We're down to a best of 3 in this set. Jaguar Falls is going to be the first map here. Both teams have looked pretty good in separate instances. I mean, BOORK find a 4-0 in the last one. They looked really, really good. Early lead on Stone Keep gets wiped away by Zenith. So both teams, I think, have looked pretty good at separate times in this one. It's all going to come down to momentum, I think.
Yeah, honestly, and if I remember correctly, I mean, I was about to say, I think I remember Jag being a good map for us, but is that even BOORK? I mean, I think any of my experience is pretty irrelevant from that. But I think that this is a different map that's been played so far today in this set. Serpent, all high ground, Stone Keep, kind of like long distance poke. This map is all rotations, you know, like you can see they're anchoring around their point tank. They're shifting around, don't want to let BOORK into their back line as Toa here poking mid. They actually left the behind completely open. That's what I'm talking about, the rotation. Now the Moxie gets countered because of the setback. Commander's Grab manages to save him.
Oh, he had 33 health in that case, nearly falling, and ends up working out in their favor. Longshot cleans up the Pip in this one. BOORK, they find the pressure. 84% as well on the point here. And like you said, they just anchored the Inara there. They wrapped their team around it. 99% becomes 100, and they only needed 2 or 3 kills to do it.
Yeah, there's nothing that Zenith could really do. I mean, once BOORK found that hole in the backline, there's really not much to get. The Pip maybe could have, I don't know. I don't even know if there's any way he could have escaped.
I think it was just very well played in this case by BOORK. They had Inara just chilling on the point. The rest of their team, I think the Atlas kind of non-flank in a way, caught Toa off guard in that one, and that's the only opening they needed to capture the point here. They found a couple more kills, and Nini is able to answer back with 1. Minute and 50 seconds left, though. Some kills start to roll in BOORK's favor. This could actually go through.
Yeah, Toa got caught off guard by the... I'm assuming that was a full mana double shot.
Yeah.
It's hard to time exactly when that's going to happen, you know, because you could turn the corner. The guy could have one charged up, or he could have a completely empty bar. You never know when it's going to be, you know, a full 1230 burst. Right, sorry, 1300, actually. Burst in your face.
Close enough, though. I mean, that's a lot of damage you're not necessarily prepared for. Dragon is going to get brought out here from Priz. It's going to buy just a little bit of space for his team to push in. This payload's getting dangerously close to going through here. Frog trying to hold down this left-hand side and hit his shots. He goes down to Ozone, though. You can never count him out when he's on the Liana. Double now for Zenith, and BOORK are pushed back. Priz is just skating around a few members here, certainly soon to fall, and they find themselves a defense. The payload's still pretty close to going in. They only invest the Dragon as well. They have the King Bomb, Seismic Crash, Dread Serpent. On the opposite side, you have some good ultimates to play with as well. The Enlightenment, though, getting used there from Ozone. So now the question becomes, how many ultimates do you want to use to potentially get this one pushed through?
I'll say one. So far, with the Dread Serpent, they managed to get the pick, and they might just be able to snowball. Now that they also got Toa with that, they have no DPS up. It's all up to the damage from the tanks, and now that's gone.
Yeah,
all up to the Genos damage.
That was about as sudden of a team fight as you can really expect in this case. A couple there from the Imani. Frog pouring out damage as well. Getting one to boot there at the end of that round. 6, 1, and 4 now for the Imani. 28k damage is good for first, even above Ozone on the Leon. 302 for the Damba as well. I don't know, BOORK just look really clean right now.
They do. They do look really clean. All their fights have been won pretty decisively. The only one that wasn't, like, super fast was the one on the Pip, and that's because Moxie, just Moxie as a card made that go so long, you know?
Right.
He healed himself, had to get set back, got shouted for 1500, and then potioned himself again for 1440 while undercut. Like, other than that little kind of artificial extension of the fight, they've all been pretty quick. BOORK has kind of just had Zenith's number.
They have been up to this case. We harken back to the first team fight that really hinged around that first point. And that's all they needed, getting caught through time and space right there. That one's good from Jostles. He goes fishing, comes up with one. And that could be the space that Zenith need in this case. BOORK on the back foot just a little bit. Good damage here from Ozone. He's got some low health BOORK. I was going to say. On the side of BOORK, that's a good Evil Mojo as well. Long shot now falls. And with the fast cap enabled, some kills start to go blue. This one could go through.
Because after that first pick, they knew, I guess they had to push to deny the ultimates, but one thing they could have done was have Vayne play to die on point and have everyone else just shove in and try to force the ultimates as fast as possible. Looks like Frog's actually pretty close. Catches Toa with the King Bomb when Toa was trying to peek and see what was going on. Dragon might come in. Dragon can't touch, though. Longshot makes it in, I think, with the speed from the shield.
He does.
Yeah, thankfully, that card is insane, and that's a great example why. Priz applying a lot of damage up there, a lot of aggression with that Dragon, trying to get some dismounts.
Does just that, and then some. Finding the kill. Mage Monkey back to base. BOORK stabilized the fight. Looking to make things 3-0. Just ulting out Ozone in this case. A few on the back. He's going to get the headshot. The Enlightenment's going to try to turn things around, though. He's going to get a second chance at this one. Likely going to fall to Ozone. That was a pretty funky 1v1 to watch. But in the meantime, look, BOORK find their third point. They'll be fine to lose some deaths on the backside of this one because, well, they're pushing for the win here in this case. Inara's going to go back to base. Zenith, well, they need to find a way to stop this one from going through if they want to avoid back-to-back 4-0s. But BOORK, they look pretty poised and they look ready to take this one.
I think Zenith's focus just wasn't what it needed to be on that. Like, and most teams that have been scrimming against Atlas for a while understands that the speed from the shield is kind of like a guaranteed retouch if you don't focus him down. It's different from a Tempest. When you play against a Grok, you see it, you hear him Tempest, you're like, this is going to be a retouch. We know it's coming, right? With an Atlas, you can focus that Atlas and make him have to rewind, and since he's so fast, he'll go so far back. They just weren't ready to focus down the Atlas for the retouch.
They weren't. Not in this case, though, and it works out in BOORK's favor in a big way. Toa starting to come alive on the Pip a little bit. A good Evil Mojo there. Finds him a couple. A third one on the back end of the fight, just for good measure here. Now the question becomes, how long is this press going to be able to hold out for Zenith? If you are able to hold it out long enough, BOORK have to not only fight to get back to the payload, but then you have another fight to try to get things pushed through here. Frog and Longshot are going to open up some space now for BOORK to start to push through. The damage dealer and the frontliner back in base. Longshot needs to stay alive here in this case. That's a good rewind, and they're going to open the doors wide open. A minute left now. The payload finally starting to move forward. Only the King Bomb. The Dragon will be around soon enough. Zenith actually in a pretty decent spot here. The Enlightenment goes right into the wall. That's
that
pretty
cool,
unfortunate. It did look very, very cool. Unfortunately, he trades out his life for it. And now BOORK, a little bit of space. Here comes the Dragon again. This is all they needed last time, Kresnik, to push this through.
Yeah, they're going to be holding it against this wall. Now they don't want to come forward to contest, but the card is pretty far back. The Dragon's going to wear out by the time they want to go in. So he knows that. He's going to just bring it into the spawn, get as much damage as he can, at least keep them locked in to let his team stay healthy for longer. We'll see exactly how much it's going to pay off.
Oh, wait, they actually find Toa with it. The Dragon Burn is enough to pair with Longshot there. Mage Monkey drops the Atlas, though. Ninny getting very aggressive, gets Poppy Bombed, I think, back into the enemy team. The Bowling Ball keeps him alive, but the Dread Serpent sends him to certain death. Frog and Priz, they combine for a couple kills in this case. Frog coming alive on the Bomb King. He doesn't need Eevee. He has the BK. And BOORK have another 4-0 win here. They're one win away from pushing this set through. I don't know, Zenith just don't have the answers right now.
I mean, that Poppy Bomb was actually really, really influential.
Yeah.
It hit him. He went there. He had 92% on his Dome Shield Charger. If he had hit, what, 2-3 shots, he would have had it. That would have been a really long sustain, especially since they didn't have the Dragon anymore. Yes, that Poppy basically just
ends the fight. A small thing makes the difference here for BOORK. They go up 2-1 in our third set of the day. Let's send it back to the desk to break it down.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and just say Priz is too comfortable on Amani, and it is becoming incredibly dangerous here for Zenith. The rest of the team on BOORK played that one incredibly well, but they had a pretty aggressive lineup, and they played it to the T.
Yeah, decent Dragon there at the end of zone. It could have been a little bit later, but he's crying over spilt milk at that point. The Poppy Bomb was incredible. That's a 10th pick Bomb King as well, so that's not only something Frog is comfortable on. He's very, very good at this, apparently. Using the offensive Poppy Bombs is definitely the hallmark of an experienced Bomb King, and somebody who's thinking that way is just a different element. It's a different dynamic of lethality for Bomb King to be able to displace people into a situation they don't want to be. Priz 10-4 on the Amani. That's quickly becoming a big, big problem for them, but I do want to talk a little bit more about Frog's Bomb King and the fact that Eevee got the respect ban on Jaguar Falls, even though far and away, Bomb King has been much bigger a problem for every team forever on Jaguar Falls.
Well, he made it look good there. I can't think of any worse place to have to be a frontline. There's a Bomb King on one side, there's an Atlas in front of you, and there's a Dragon behind you. There's literally nowhere that feels safe. There you go, a lot of control that came down from this. Again, 10th picked Bomb King.
Love me a good offensive Poppy Bomb too. That's the one Kresnik was talking about that pretty much won the game here. Not every round, but a big part of this defense, I should say. Got this earned the conversion is a better way to put that.
I'm also going to give a little shout out. Not only did Frog play well, of course Priz played well, but also Aspect was like 30,000 healing ahead. And granted, I believe it was the Moldamba versus the Genos. You expect him to kind of get ahead, but he grew that lead pretty far ahead. And so big for them, big for BOORK as they now lead 2-1. 2 4-0s in a row. Like that 4-3 could have gone either way if they'd just been able to clean up that point fight a little earlier. The set could be over. But now you're going to Frozen Guard, so things are still open. And now, we've been looking at Eevee Mave bans. I expect those to stay existing.
Yeah, if you're banning Eevee Mave before, you definitely want to absolutely think about it here on Frozen Guard. And Nara will be a small switch up here for Zenith. So now BOORK have the question, do we ban the Mave, leave open Torvald? If Zenith picked Torvald, I thought that was a lock-in sound. I'm going to be completely honest. You kind of crushed that impression there.
Nailed it.
But I was going to say, if they go for that Torvald first, they do leave Khan Atlas open for BOORK, and that has been a recipe for disaster. I think maybe Zenith going big brain here. In the past, Torvald Atlas, we've only seen it once, I believe. Torvald Atlas hasn't been something that looks good on paper, and it hasn't been something that was good on practice. It didn't succeed the one time we saw it picked up, I believe, in the PPL. But BOORK are going to go ahead and just grab the Atlas and leave Torvald open. This is probably the longest Torvald that's stayed open in a draft all season long.
And it's also, just today we saw Torvald make it through once earlier. I think it hit the strides that you would expect it to hit, but it just wasn't, I want to say, as effective as you always see out of Torvald.
Let's fight.
But now he's going through. It has officially been half the draft done. No Torvald.
Part of it may just be, you know, it is
comfort for the teams.
It is comfort for the teams. Maybe Frozen Guard is a little bit of a longer stretch map, obviously. So you're not looking to have those close mid-range. Obviously, Torvald is very popular with flankers, but we've been talking about how it doesn't have to be a flanker. You can put it. You can just pocket bubble a power mid-range or something like an Amani or a Leon or even a Cassie, Bomb King, whatever it is that you want to do. But if none of those things are really getting looked at here as win conditions, then you just don't pick it up, and it looks like it may be that way.
Well, it's been a hot minute since Victor has been picked up, kind of forgotten, thrown to the side when Amani came in. No one wanted to pick him on Frozen Guard anymore. Now the Ying coming in as well, something that I think we're used to seeing in Europe, but Zenith are going to be the ones throwing that one. Jostle's probably playing that as they pick it up, and that's a pretty solid Frozen Guard pickup, but for some reason, I'm honestly personally inclined to lean towards BOORK here.
Wow, double damage amp as well with the Amani, Atlas, Barrack. That's a lot of high damaging characters. My concern is getting in range of Zenith. There's two very aggressive front lines zoning out, creating space for Victor and Leon to just tee off on people, and BOORK might have troubles getting to that back line.
Well, it could be pretty dangerous. They might not need to get to the back line, depends on how they
yeah,
want to play
that's true.
it. Amani
they just crush the front line.
Can just throw wherever they want. Atlas going to be able to kind of control the side, but it's Frozen Guard, the wall, going to be playing an ever-present role around this point fight, but we're going to have to jump down to the casters and get through the game.
Thank you, Gore. Thank you, Nick. Jumping into potentially the last game of this set. Well, BOORK, they've looked really good over the last two, winning 8 straight points coming into this one. And they give Priz the Amani back. But I think Nick set up a pretty interesting storyline to watch in that the opposite side, Zenith, they have a lineup that could potentially tee off, I think is the word that he used. If you let the Victor and the Leon just hang back, you got a lot of dangerous damage coming into your face if you're BOORK.
Also, one thing about loadouts, Frog is running the Bitey special, which is, I'm assuming it is Elim, Reset, and DR on Tyranade. Is he running the Elim? Oh, he's not running the Elims, but Bitey likes Elims, but DR, it's basically like a secondary tank. Like, when you shoot 2, the DR does stack with diminishing return, so it's like 30% damage reduction as you keep firing it. So they're basically playing it, they're kind of playing a really sustaining defensive lineup, probably waiting for the tanks to push into them and getting the burn on them.
It works out, in this case, Mage Monkey pushing into Priz, unfortunately, gets the shorter end of that one. They're able to answer back, though. They get long shots sent back to base. The man out of time is out of time in this case. The Luminary buff starting to ring true here for BOORK, and they have the Hunting Party as well, and that means one Ninny is going to get melted. Ozone on the Leon, he's kind of hanging back. He finds some damage onto Vayne as well. BOORK climbing, though. They're the ones after the early lead here on the point, but Zenith, in both teams, it's interesting, Krisnik. They're just kind of doing a weird dance around the outside here. Neither one trying to bite off too much.
Yeah, BOORK can't really just throw their tanks on point because of the crazy poke from Zenith, and Zenith can't really get on point because then they're getting too close to the Tyra Imani from BOORK. So they're just kind of waiting, seeing if one team can get a pick on the other. Now it looks like, though, Zenith is trying to engage. Khan comes in with a commander's grab onto Longshot, gets melted down. Atlas does a lot of damage.
He does.
Deja Vu pulling back Ozone away. BOORK kind of rotating. Now they have the point control. Now Zenith has to come into them. Ozone does manage to find Priz on the side. Do they have the touch? It looks like they do through time and space. Comes in, manages to catch Ninny.
Oh, God. It's here to the, just to the back of the head. Just a clean blast. And again, we've talked about a lot of things today. It's one of the reasons I like having you guys come in. We talked about the Atlas and how that close range gun is just so strong. It's almost like a machine gun shotgun kind of combo. Would you say that's the better of the two gunfires in this case, using that close range rapid fire burst, and then maybe from a distance like this, using the charge shot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you play it for the range, and you have to play Atlas to kind of get the feel for it. I will say, and Sadak might kill me for saying this, but the first couple games we scrimmed Atlas, he was like point blank. He thought you charged to do more damage. So he was point blank with people, fully charging the slugs all the way. I'm like, dude, trust me, tap fire, you will be so happy. And I mean, it showed the amount of close range damage he does is intense.
It did work out in the long run on that one. The Dragon just kind of running rampant, seeming some poetic justice here on the Frozen Guard. The Dragon flying around, burning stuff up. An overpower is going to be good to get rid of Vayne in this case, but there's still a minute and a half left. If BOORKs choose to do so, and it looks like they're going to, they say, all right, you got the overpower, you picked off Priz, we're just going to back off, we're going to regroup. We have Dome Shield. We have Crossfire. We have Atlas ultimate as well. They're just going to regroup, try to push back through to this one. Only a couple ultimates on the opposite side. Damage dealt. Got a checkerboard effect going on. Got the Tyra up top. Leon. Atlas, though, is good for third in this game. And then Victor and Amani round out the next two.
I mean, Atlas and Amani are basically their best pokers.
Yep.
I mean, Atlas with that slug, he really can do a lot. Every headshot is 1350 plus the Luminary boost. So he's really going to be chunking you pretty hard across the map. The Tyrag seeing a lot of damage isn't too surprising. She can get away with kind of staying in your face a lot more with that Mercy Kill build instead of the Hunting Party.
Hoping to maybe snipe out some here as Khan. The Commander's grab's going to be good to at least toss Frog up, but he's going to doink his head on the overbridge there, not go flying through. Rage Monkey gets himself out of line. The Firebomb's going to keep the payload safe. Here comes the Enlightenment. That's good for a kill on the long shot. Vayne answers back, though. It's a 1-for-1 so far into this fight, just getting rid of some of those clones down there. Priz now holding down this flank. No Dragon to be used just yet. Ozone could have put an end to this one. They need to stay around here, though. This is a longer map to get back onto the payload. Ozone with 2. He's just firing away. Be careful of this guy's Leon, and that could be all they need. Priz is going to go down, and it looks like BOORK are going to be unsuccessful in their first point push. But they find themselves point number 1. Zenith answer back with another defense on their side. 5-2 now for Ozone. Has that been sort of your difference maker in this one so far?
I mean, Ozone's Leon has been scary since season, like early season 2 Splice.
This is old news.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not saying that. Yeah,
right.
Catch up, man.
What am I doing?
Yeah, no, but Ozone and Leon has definitely been a big force
right.
for Zenith, I would say. There's actually one thing I want to point out that I caught at the last second. Longshot actually saved Ozone.
Oh, did he?
Ozone dove from the right edge. There's not really a call out for it. Just like the far edge.
Right.
Dove, landed on the mine entrance, and then enlightenmented Longshot. But before Longshot died, he fired a setback. And that setback hit Ozone and set Ozone right back up to the high ground to keep shooting his own team.
Well, that's 200 IQ, I think. I think Ozone knew that was going to happen. He certainly had this planned out all in his head. Only kidding. Did work out in his favor that time, though. Oh, stares down. Through time and space, he's not going to get damaged by that anyway. Aspect is good. He finds one with the snipe here. The crossfire from Frog is good for a kill onto Nini as well. But now you have the Victor and the Leon just hanging back here. Toa, he finds his first kill in this fight. Victor, he's got the burst fire build going. But BOORK, they're the ones on the point. They lose a few deaths, but they have the positional advantage.
Yeah, fantastic setback from Longshot too, trapping in Toa. Frog earlier just put himself into too many angles, I think. He tried to crossfire, got the pick, and at that point he kind of got a little overzealous moving in. But Frostbomb trying to peel for Longshot, but
didn't work out. Unfortunately, not out of the overpower. That's not gonna fly around these parts.
But will Zenith be able to touch? Oh, he's gripped right off the point. Perfect burn. Dome Shield maybe not need to be used, but it's safe. I mean, that's the safe play. He doesn't feel bad about that. He's not like, I threw the fight, guys.
I mean, at that point, and it's early on enough, I think, in this payload push that, I mean, that'll get charged up as this round goes on. I think better safe than sorry in this case. Honestly, it's good. Over the past few days, we've seen some teams that are just a little more reluctant to use their ultimates, and it ends up biting them a few times. So, like, at least seeing that, you know what, I'm just going to secure this. I'm going to throw down the Dome Shield just to be sure, just to remove all doubt. I think is pretty good in this case. Ozone's going to stall things out with another double. He's just free firing from the back line right now. A little bit of tunnel vision here from Priz. He's going to get Commanders grabbed. He's going to get reset in this one. And the payload, well, it's going the wrong direction if you're on the side of BOORK here.
Yeah, Leon is a champion you really can't ignore.
Yeah,
especially if she's hitting.
You should not.
Yeah, you shouldn't ignore her. You can ignore her, but then Ozone will do this.
Right.
You know, it's if you ignore her, let her get those resets on her presence. Let her just free fire away onto your backline.
Sure.
She's going to be getting cleaves on you, where you're all taking 1,000 damage at the burst. That's like, think about all the blasters, right? All the characters that are meant to be doing that level of damage to you. None of them can do that level of nuke damage that she can when she hits a 2-person presence.
I mean, she's a sniper, but she has the burst of some of the blasters in this one, and you said it, I think. I mean, some of the blasters can't even match that in this case. A couple kills coming up red right now, but the payload has so far to go. Still a minute left. They're finally able to get back onto the payload, so things are going to be moving forward here for BOORK. They have some ultimates to play around with. Barrage and Assert Dominance for Zenith are ready as well as the Enlightenment. So some big things coming up here for Zenith, and they sort of have the range advantage, being able to hang out up top here. But Priz has been nothing short of great, I think, on the Imani up to this point. using that dragon in the right times. So maybe seeing a dragon come out to help BOORK push this one through.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that once they get a little bit closer. I think they're worried, although now they did get the illusory rift out of the way. Right. So now maybe they're thinking, oh, they committed something, we can commit something, maybe try to get a guaranteed cap here. Ozone playing on the left, not looking at him quite yet. Just got called out, used the enlightenment, dodged by the second chance. Maybe he could exile, but he's taking too much damage after this rewind. They have to trade him out or it's not going to be worth BOORK committing anything. Oh, Vayne just getting blocked out by the shield, goes in, barely misses the shot, picks the front of his shield.
I don't know how Ozone survives that one. I mean, he's just playing his position so well, seemingly. I mean, he goes toe-to-toe there with Longshot, gets the better end of it, misses the Enlightenment as well, but ends up finding the kill. But he just stays alive so long. He was at like 300 health at the end of that engagement. And BOORK were just unable to find the positioning that would have been able to take out Ozone. So just living just a little too long to give BOORK a chance in this one. But it's really the battle of the 10-6 Amani, the 12-4 Leon, or the 2 damage dealers making a big difference. Aspect, though, you have to tip your cap to him. 2-20 on the Genos. That's a tough scoreline to beat.
Genos is a very high assist champion.
Yeah, he is.
You know, because with other healers, you're healing people that are like out of combat, they're hiding, they're like, I'm so weak, please. But with Genos, you're spreading those heals. These people are like, I gotta mork them. Yeah, let's go. You know, they're juiced up. They're ready to move out, and that's kind of why Genos is such a high end champion. Crossfire doesn't find anything.
Yeah.
It was on the invincible Ashe.
That's tough.
Gets melted out. Really great, fast aggression from Zenith. They know what they have to do. They just had to pick the right targets.
And that's just, again, it's just Ozone feeling aggressive. I mean, he didn't do the most damage in that fight, but he was able to slide through, find some of the finishing blows in that one. And Zenith, they seem poised to capture their first point here. They've had 2 successful defenses here, but they invest a lot to do it. The Overpower is the only one that's still up for them. Dragon.
4 ults still up for BOORK.
Atlas, right. I mean, yeah, through time and space. Dome Shield as well. Here's going to be the Dragon. So they're going to look to find some value out of this. At least getting under this archway is going to be good. He's melting away. Toa and Jostles go down. Can he make it 3? And he does onto Mage Monkey. That's incredible value out of the Dragon now. Frog finds the 4th in this fight. And that is probably the best Dragon I think you can hope for. He goes through the narrow alleyway. They're not looking at him. And BOORK, they reverse this team fight.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really well positioned. I mean, I know there's probably a lot of people who are like low ranked. They're like, Dragon's always five kill my team. Yeah. But like the fact that he hid the Dragon, they didn't know exactly where it was. I mean, maybe they saw the wings through the wall, but they backed up. They couldn't get away in time. It was just really, really well placed, well executed around. And they can't touch again. They denied Nini's touch one more time to get a kill 3-4 in this fight.
And I think more importantly even than that, I mean, sure, BOORK are going to lose some deaths on the back end. That's a bit of an interesting Dome Shield in my eyes, just buying maybe some time and space. But what you have to look at, that was actually pretty good on my part. Yeah. He's buying some time and space. Unfortunately, only 6% is what you're able to purchase with that. 8% now back for the Genos. But Zenith invests so much to try to turn that one around at the last second. They used Overpower, they used Enlightenment as well. They got a little cooldown refunded from the Barrage. But so many of those ultimates are not ready. I guess it's sort of the same thing where there's enough time maybe on the defense to recharge some of those ultimates, so you're okay just throwing them out maybe for the chance.
Yeah, until you hit like 130, you're pretty much willing to use whatever.
Right.
I mean, there are definitely some champions that like maybe you're not going to do a lot of range damage. Like on this map, once you hit that choke point where it's that huge gap, if you're like a Bomb King or something, I mean, A, you're probably messing up picking Bomb King at that point in this map, but once you hit that point as BK, you're at 30% ult, you're like, well, I don't know how many bombs I'm really going to hit from here, but we'll see what happens. You know, I'm up for anything.
Down for whatever is the Bomb King. Unfortunately, not one in this game for us. I would have loved to have seen a Bomb King here. Long shot. He's looked pretty good on this Atlas, I would say. Gotten some good setbacks, some good second chances for himself as well. This time, sort of holding down these side alleyways. The Illusory Rift is going to top off the Zenith health bars. BOORK backing off a little bit, but now coming from 2 different sides are the remainder of the Zenith lineup. Enlightenment's going to be good onto Longshot and BOORK. They need to back off now because this is not going in their favor.
Yeah, Ozone's Enlightenments have been doing a lot. He's been surviving a lot of pretty long cooldowns with it, just getting a lot. He's almost always getting a reset just to make sure he gets that 50%, constantly getting it up to use it in those like clutch situations where he's just trying to not get void gripped, not get through time and space, not get setbacked. He's finding a lot with it.
And his team are definitely much better off for it. Oh, the long range. He gets the firebomb to the face. Prison Frog They find 2 here for BOORK with only 15 seconds left. Zenith are going to be able to respawn, get back up onto that archway. It's going to be a tough one for BOORK to push through. The question becomes, how much do we want to invest to try to end the game now? How much do we want to hold on to for maybe an impending final team fight here?
Looks like they're willing to spend the barrage.
Yeah.
Heard that come in, all the charges out. They don't manage to kill Longshot here on the side, though. Still getting some cap time. I want to see what BOORK, I want to see what BOORK is willing to use, whether they want to exile. Maybe they could just cast the dragon. Maybe they think that's enough.
And it's not coming out just yet here. Maybe getting through. The through time and space is going to get used. That finds a little damage, but no kills just as of yet. The crossfire, they're throwing everything at the wall, hoping that it sticks. Here comes the dragon as well.
They exile 2 on the court.
But look, it's going back and forth right now. The dome shield comes out. There's the overpower. Away goes Frog, but he finds some damage as he's flying away here. But Aspect, he finds another kill, and BOORK are able to push it through.
Wow.
Ooh.
Dave, was I the problem?
Was I the problem?
Was I the problem?
No, you're never the problem. You're never the problem. That's why. Hey, but look at Space Station. They have you now, and they're doing really big things here in the PPL. So you're not only not the problem, you're the answer. You're the answer, and I'm sticking to it.
Really good play from BOORK that set, though.
Really,
I like their
definitely.
decision. The decision to use those ultimates at the very end. They saw the positioning they had. I mean, that exile on the cart was unfortunate, but Dragon, Crossfire, everything, that was very, very, very well executed.
They sniffed out the opportunity to really throw all of their ultimates at the wall, and it pays off big time. BOORK find themselves back-to-back wins here in the PML. Send it back to the desk.
I mean, being able to find themselves a set themselves ahead. They were already ahead in maps because of last week, but now they're taking strides. And well, Kresnik wasn't the problem. I mean, a lot of these changes throughout all the rosters, it finally seems to have solidified for them.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I like the changes that BOORK are going through. I think also with Atlas and Amani, and something we talked about is like new characters provide a big opportunity for just, people to get ahead of the game again. When you're falling behind the curve, you don't like this meta, maybe it doesn't work well for your team, you don't play these characters as well as some of the other guys. Shaking it up is the best thing for you, and Amani and Atlas have done just that.
I mean, I'm going to point out the one thing that stands out to me. Frog plays pretty much whatever he wants, and so far that set, everything looked good, right? Everything he played did not disappoint in my eyes, right? But he's known as, at this point, like an EV1 trick. But because of how good his EV is, he's forcing a ban out of Zenith. Like, that's one of those things about being, like, I mean, look at Simsaloo earlier, right? Pip had to be banned every set because if you give him Pip, it does insane things. If you give Frog his EV, it does insane things. If you give Prism money, it does insane things. There are certain combos you don't want to see. Because of that, you might end up seeing some forced bans later, which opens up other champions.
God, that was a clean cross bomb. Love that. Splitting ice clean
Three-pointer,
up as
dude.
well. Very, very much so. That might even be a half-court shot. That was long bomb for sure. Good dragons as well. Priz did a good job making sure he didn't make himself too exposed when he didn't have to. Triple dragons are hard to come by nowadays. And even young Frog on the Tyra is funny. When he's not playing Eevee, he went for Mercy Kill Tyra. And I think my theory is because the grenade launcher is close to an Eevee auto attack, so he feels as at home as possible with that talent.
Well, hey, BOORK moving up in the world, though. I mean, that's surprising to me to see this one. If I had wagered BOORK winning, it would have been 5 games. And it would have been close 5 games. The fact that it was 4-0, 4-0, 4-2 is very big from them. Zenith, still a little work, but you can see the foundation is there, and I think it's just, now that they've found a roster that's settled, much like BOORK has, that's where you have to start building, and that's kind of where this phase is. Both of these teams building up to the point where they have to fight the next 2 in our matchups, where it's going to be Sanguine and Nation of Power. That's who they're trying to match right now.
Yeah, those are some serious tough teams, seriously tough to match. And everything is going to be interesting to watch this week, not only because these are our closest matchup, but the addition of Atlas and Amani weren't playable last week in the minor league, are playable this week. We'll have to see if that has changed that matchup at all at the top. It's certainly affected the matchup down here at the bottom of North America.
I just caught my eyes and thinking of Stigma playing something like an Amani might be pretty interesting, but that's going to be the next set that we see. It's going to be Sanguine, Nation of Power going up against each other, fighting for that first seed. We'll be right back after a quick break.
By Skillshot, Hi-Res Studios, Evil Motion, INAP, Steel Series, Respawn.